Throughout history, few nations rose like mighty waves only to crash upon the shores of time. Some great civilizations have flourished, dazzling the world with their power, wealth, or culture. Yet one by one, they vanished into silence. And yet, there is one nation that has endured oppression, carrying within her something indestructible. That is India. Despite invasions, conquests, poverty, and turmoil, she continues to breathe with an ancient rhythm, as though sustained by an eternal heartbeat. Why has India never perished and will never perish? What secret has allowed her to withstand storms that erased few other civilizations from memory? The answers come not from historians or politicians, but from two great seers of the modern age, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. They did not merely see India as a political entity, but as a divine mission, a spiritual force carrying humanity's future within her soul. In this video, we will uncover their revelations, explore their prophecies, and hear their words that assure us why India cannot fail. And we invite you to stay till the very end of this video, because the final message they leave us with is among the most powerful truths ever spoken. A message that can change not only the way you see India, but also the way you see your own role in the world. Sri Aurobindo reminded us that whenever India remembered her spiritual genius, she flourished, becoming a center of art, science, philosophy, and culture. And whenever she abandoned her dharma, seeking only imitation of others, decline followed. Thus, India's rise and fall are not accidents of history. They are tied to whether Indians remain faithful to India's inner spirit. He wrote that India's task is not to reproduce the material achievements of the West, but to offer something greater, a way of life where the spiritual and material are harmonized. For him, India's survival against centuries of adversity is a proof that her mission is unfinished, that her destiny is yet to unfold. In his work, The Brain of India, Sri Aurobindo described India not only as a land of saints and sages, but as the very brain of humanity. He argued that just as the brain guides the body, India has guided civilization by holding within herself the memory of eternal truths. She has never claimed dominion through force, but through wisdom, never sought to conquer the world with armies, but to illuminate it with knowledge. But how did this mission continue to burn even in the most difficult times, especially under colonial rule? That is where Sri Aurobindo's prophetic vision becomes truly revealing. When we reflect on the colonial period, it is easy to see only the suffering, the exploitation, and the humiliation. Yet Sri Aurobindo reminded us that even this painful chapter had its hidden purpose. He once said, "India does not rise for herself alone, but for the salvation of the whole world." The trials of colonial rule were not just political, but deeply spiritual. They were meant to awaken the sleeping soul of the nation. The mother too echoed this vision. She declared, "India has always existed and will always exist. India is eternal and immortal. No calamity can destroy her." These words are not just poetic, they are prophetic. They tell us that India's greatness lies not in armies or empires, but in her unbroken connection with the divine. Sri Aurobindo, looking beyond the chains of his time, prophesied, "India is the guru of the nations, the physician of the human soul in its profounder maladies. She is destined once more to new mold the life of the world." These were not mere hopes, but revelations of a destiny waiting to unfold. Yes, Sri Aurobindo's days in Alipore jail marked a turning point. He testified that in the silence of confinement, he heard the voice of the divine assuring him, "This nation shall rise. It is not for material gains, but for the spiritual gift she has to deliver to the world." The mother carried this vision forward when she spoke of India as the land of the future, saying, "India is the country of the spiritual destiny. It is here that the fate of the earth will be decided." Such words strike deep, for they remind us that every challenge India has faced, colonial subjugation, partition, or modern confusions, are but steps in her great awakening. Thus, the prophecy of India is not about political victories alone, but about her becoming the spiritual lighthouse for humanity, the ground where East and West, science and spirituality, matter and spirit will one day find their reconciliation. Sri Aurobindo declared that the world is moving towards a supramental evolution, where human beings will transcend the limitations of mind and rise into a higher consciousness. And he insisted that India has a central role in this transformation. Why India? Because she has preserved the knowledge of yoga, meditation, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the wisdom of rishis, treasures that the world now seeks for its survival. The mother explained that India carries within her the seed of a new world. She called India the spiritual heart of the earth. Just as the heart silently sustains life, India silently sustains humanity by holding the flame of truth. And this flame, she said, will not be extinguished. The mother once said, India is the country of destiny. She is the key to the spiritual future of mankind. She was emphatic that India's failures are only temporary appearances. The divine work hidden in her cannot be defeated. She warned, however, that India must awaken to her own greatness. If India imitates the West blindly, she may stumble, but if she embraces her inner truth, no power on earth can stop her. The mother declared, India is my soul. She saw in India the promise of a new dawn for humanity, and she called upon Indians to recognize their responsibility, that their true mission was not to chase material wealth alone, but to reveal the spirit to the world. When asked, will India truly rise again? Sri Aurobindo smiled and said, who shall stop her? When the divine has chosen, no power can prevent the destiny. He compared India to a lion that may appear asleep but awakens with unstoppable force. The mother, too, narrated how she felt the living presence of India as a conscious being, a goddess who bore the pain of her children, yet held within herself infinite patience and infinite strength. She said that every attack, every invasion, only purified India further, burning away what was not essential, leaving the eternal core untouched. Another time, Sri Aurobindo remarked, India's mission is not to copy Europe, but to bring something new, something the world has not yet seen, a spiritual civilization. Both Sri Aurobindo and the mother spoke of a coming time when India would rise again, not merely as an economic or military power, but as the leader of a new spiritual age. Sri Aurobindo wrote in his message on India's independence, the destiny of India is to unite the spiritual with the material, to show the world the way to live divinely in life. The mother foresaw that though challenges would come, corruption, division, confusion, India would overcome them all because the divine Shakti is behind her. She even declared, India is eternal. She will not perish. She will play her part in the divine plan. So, why will India not fail? Because India is not just a nation, but a spirit. She has endured centuries, yet her inner fire has never gone out. She has been wounded, yet she heals and rises again. Sri Aurobindo and the mother remind us that India's destiny is not a matter of chance, but of divine will. And as long as the eternal Dharma lives in the heart of her people, no force can destroy her. Dear viewers, let us remember that India's future is not in the hands of politics alone, but in the awakening of our consciousness. Each of us is a carrier of that flame. When we meditate, when we live with truth, when we rise beyond selfishness, we participate in India's destiny. The promise of Sri Aurobindo and the mother is clear. India will not fail because she is eternal and she is destined to lead humanity towards the light.